Hi, Mary Lou.
Hello.
Okay. Welcome everyone. I'd like to call the Town of Rochester Town Board November 6th workshop meeting to order. If you could all stand for the pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
America,
and to the
republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilwoman Alba? Here. Councilman Coleman?
Here.
Councilwoman Smeethus? Here. Councilman Wynn?
Here.
Supervisor Now?
I am here. So tonight is our workshop meeting. It's coming at a different time than usual because of the Thanksgiving holiday. Next week will be our business meeting, so we will have our business meeting agenda next week. The first item on our agenda is the acceptance of the agenda. I'm gonna just add a couple discussion items. So I'll make the motion that the town board accepts the agenda as prepared by the town supervisor. With the following amendments to the discussion items section: discussion of ambulance contracts, the Medicare Gold Plan, the UCRA contract, scope of services for Sundown Culvert, and consultant selection for Project 52.
That's fast. Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain, motion carries. All right, so tonight we have two public hearings scheduled, so we are going to start with those. So the first public hearing is on local law F 2025, which is the tax cap override local law. So this is if we're going to go above the 2% tax cap, state tax cap, we have to pass a local law allowing us to do that. So I'd like to open the public hearing for local law F of 2025. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak on overriding the tax cap? Do we have anyone who's on the Zoom?
No one else had joined.
I did not receive any written comments on the tax cap.
Okay. Would you like to speak on the tax cap override?
Yeah, Matt Reddick for Hobson. How much are we overriding it by? And are you just authorizing yourselves to override it, or are we actually overriding it? Are you know what I mean, the distinction? You're allowing yourself to override it, or are you actually overriding it at this time? And by how much?
We don't do question and answer, but we can have that on the record and maybe
Okay.
we'll address it later.
My concern is articulate.
Okay. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to close the.
Motion to close the public hearing at 6:39 PM.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion carries. So our next agenda item is the public hearing for the 2026 preliminary budget. In the agenda, I linked to the budgets. The preliminary budget is the middle version of the budget that represents the version that the town board schedules for a public hearing. So the budget process begins in September with the budget officer getting requests from departments for the budget. Then the tentative budget is prepared by the budget officer and submitted to the town clerk. That version is then reviewed by the town board. And before adopting a budget, the town board has to have a public hearing on the preliminary budget. The public hearing has to be held on or before the Thursday after Election Day. However, the final budget does not have to be adopted until November 20th. So this budget that we are having the public hearing on represents a version that the board is planning on amending. But we wanted to we wanted to be able to schedule the public hearing according to local law, and we knew that we had some more work to do. So I actually did, in the cover letter for the preliminary budget, I did indicate that we were looking at some ways to alleviate the tax levy this year. This budget, as stated, as it's printed, is well over the tax cap. It would be a 32% increase. The reason, when we're looking at this budget, the reason for that increase has more to do with funding streams than it does then it has to do with overall budgetary increases. So the board is looking at ways that we can soften that so that we don't have to have that increase passed along to taxpayers all at once. However, it is the feeling of the board that the overall tax levy is not at a sustainable rate as it is, because we no longer, the fund balance, use of fund balance and ARPA funds as a revenue stream is not something that we can continue forward. And that basically is the main loss of revenue. We also, the only new things in this budget are 3 part-time seasonal positions, and then there are vehicle purchases in the budget. The other increases are wage increases for employees, so mandated increases. New York State retirement is over $52,000 above what it was last year, and we don't have an option to not pay that. All of our insurance costs are up, and our workers' comp, we are self-insured for workers' comp, and there's a pretty big increase for that as well. So I did put all of this in the cover letter. We have a new format for the budget that includes a cover letter. That I will also do a letter in the final budget that will represent the work that we have done and concluded with the adoption of that. We will be adopting the budget at a much less detail, but in the appendices, all the detail items that we're used to seeing for the budget still exist, and we will still do our bookkeeping to that level. We just won't have to do budget modifications within subcodes anymore, which is a little bit of a burden when we're trying to do purchasing. The only thing we can't change after this point is the elected officials' salaries. So those cannot increase. So whatever they're printed at may not increase. They can decrease for the adoption of the final budget, but under New York State law, we cannot increase any of those. I just wanted to give that overview. And I think I said this already, but we do have to adopt the final budget by November 20th. We have a meeting next Thursday, so our plan is to adopt the final budget at that time. I will say that it is a very big percentage increase for town taxes. And I do understand that that is a real thing, like any amount of money for some households is something that is very we're challenged, and just like in the town, trying to save money in every way that we can. In terms of the January tax bill and overall taxes levied on property, the town's portion of that is I would say the smallest percentage. It's well under school taxes and well under under the county taxes. So we right now in the preliminary budget, it'd be about $3 per thousand is what we're looking at. And that increase is a 74 cent per thousand increase. So for a house that's assessed at $350,000, that would be $200 a year above what the tax bill was in 2025. So that's just to put some dollars and cents to what the increase that's listed in the preliminary budget is. With that, I will open the public hearing for the 2026 preliminary budget. Is there anyone here who would like to speak for the public hearing on the preliminary budget? And has anyone joined us?
Still two.
No. Yes?
Just that I'm surprised at those numbers, those are substantial increases that I hope the board will. I think we're all sort of in shock at those numbers, so I hope you guys will work on it and try and get the levy down, because that seems, and I'm not clear what's driving such a massive, said 32%. Possible, and I know you're not taking questions, but yeah, I'm just stunned by that, by the size, by the usually 2, 3, 4, maybe 6, 7 after COVID, those were the numbers. Suddenly it's 32. That seems, I'm sure there are reasons and we'll get to that, but it seems shocking.
Thank you.
Are we done with the public?
Yeah, if there's no one that would like to speak, we would entertain a motion about what we want to do about the public hearing. We could close the public hearing.
We've closed public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I mean, we could keep it open. Written comments. I'm fine. with
Yeah,
it.
I'm fine with closing it, but I'm also fine with leaving it open for the week till next meeting for written comment. Only if we want it, but
Well, you do have a meeting next week with public comment twice.
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true. Yeah, we do.
So we could close the hearing and people could still.
So comment before we adopt it.
All right,
Yeah.
let's close it.
Also, I do have a preliminary budget from Climate Smart. Should I just email that to you or everybody or?
Why don't we call the vote on this resolution
Yeah.
and then we'll
Okay,
talk
that's
about the
fine.
budget in our
That's-
yeah, we can look at that or talk about it in our discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstain, motion carries. And just for the public, I know budgets are like a lot, it's a lot of pages, but if you go to the town website, you find the agenda, or if you go onto the main menu on the town website, there's a link to the budget. And so what we're talking about here, when you go to that link, is the 2026 preliminary budget. The cover letter does go into a lot of detail about that, and just for some context, our tax levy has historically been incredibly low. So we have a very, very low tax levy, and for a chunk of years, our town taxes actually decreased. So I know that there are other towns that have more of a rate per thousand increase that we have, but it's only like a 10% increase for them, just because their tax levies have been going up with inflation rather than shrinking. And in fact, our rate per thousand in town was higher in 2018 than it is in this proposed budget. So that's another thing, like, to think about with that. So, and I'm also happy anybody can reach out or email me. But it really is about the revenue, not being able to use $500,000 of fund balance anymore. So where's my agenda? All right. Our next agenda item is public comment. And I'm sorry that I didn't talk about questions and answers during the public hearing intro. I usually do that, but this is our public comment period. We do run this period, this portion of the meeting, like we do the public hearings, which means we do not engage in a back and forth or question and answer period during this time. We also ask that people who are addressing the board address your remarks to the town board and not engage in a debate among the audience. So during this period, we won't do like a back and forth question and answer period, but our next agenda item is called town board member time. And we oftentimes use that to answer things that came up. So I encourage anyone that came tonight to address the board, especially if you had questions, to just stick around for that next agenda item because the board member may choose to respond or answer any questions that you may have. With that, would anyone like to address the board during public comment?
Well, we actually came tonight to talk, because I thought the property, the assessment program, we all got notices a couple weeks ago about the assessments. I thought you guys were discussing that tonight, so maybe if you did before, I know I was a little late, so if I missed that, I apologize, but I'm just not clear how the assessments are working. I read what was in the paper last week. So when it's appropriate, you know, if I want to speak to that, because it's confusing. No one don't.
Would anyone else like to address the board tonight? Okay, so I'll close the public comment portion of our meeting. It's town board member time. Do any board members have anything they'd like to share or anything you'd like to address? Yes.
So addressing a little bit of the budget issues, I have a finance background, just been working with spreadsheets for 40 years. One of the things that going through this budget process, which is the first time for me, was the amount of sort of fixed, quasi-fixed expenses related to our employees and staff who provide a tremendous service to the town. I mean, as supervisor mentioned, insurance costs are up, pension costs are up, workman's comp is up. We felt that a cost of living adjustment, given the inflationary period, was appropriate. And those by themselves, before we get into any of the discretionary type expenditures, blew us, I think, past the tax cap, which is also short-sighted. The tax cap itself, I think, was short-sighted in terms of addressing the expenditure needs of any municipality to function properly. I mean, it seems like it was a cheap one-shot political grandstanding opportunity for whoever proposed it, whoever that might have been. But I think that going through the process, what struck me was that there's very, very little fat in the budget at all. On top of that, in terms of there's just a lot of deferred maintenance in just about every single building the town owns. The highway department, for example, doesn't have a long-term capital equipment replacement schedule. So we're sort of playing catch up at a time when overall revenue is down, because what has happened in the past is in an effort to be the lowest, have the lowest tax rate in the county, a lot of this deferred maintenance wasn't taken care of on a current basis, so now we're playing catch up with that, and that just has a detrimental effect at a time when we no longer have the very substantial budget cushion in terms of fund balance to be able to dip into every year. So those are my thoughts on the budget. In terms of these revaluation, it's healthy to have a revaluation periodically, so that two things. One, improvements and new buildings that haven't been captured on the tax roll get captured, so that the denominator of the tax equation is accurate and fair to everyone. And it's the change in the valuation. So if your home value goes from $200,000 to $300,000 by itself, does not mean that you'll pay the higher rate of tax. What really matters is what percentage any individual property has as an aggregate portion of the value of the town itself, and whether that ratio changes for a particular property. We'll find that going through this revaluation process, that a lot of properties will actually see a decline in their actual percentage or share of value of the aggregate town value. And a lot of the newer homes will pick up a larger portion of that. So there might be a redistribution based on that, but the increase in the denominator by itself doesn't portend a increase in an individual's actual tax bill. So that's that subject, but I also wanted to thank people for voters in the town for adopting the real estate transfer tax for the Community Preservation Fund, and also to thank all the people who worked during the election. That's a long and tiring job, so thank you to them. And finally, as we have discussed in prior meetings, we're trying to compile a list of areas where speed limits might be too high. And if anyone has any thoughts on speed limit adjustments within the town, to please get those comments to the town clerk. So, thank you.
Any other board members?
Just echoing what Sally said, we did have a discussion about, we had multiple meetings, budget meetings, to talk about possible areas to cut, and the consensus was, as we were looking at it, there's very minimal areas where we can do that. All of those meetings are up on YouTube, so if you want to actually go through, I know they're long and I know they can be boring, but you can see some of those discussions, and we really go line by line. Also meeting with the individual departments, talking about what their needs are, asking questions. So there's a lot of additional background. Also, I just want to say the new format and the letter at the front of the budget, I think is fantastic. It's helpful for me as a board member. I think it's also equally helpful for members of the community to get an understanding of what some of the major changes are. So thank you for making that change.
Is this the place to bring up the budget, or are we going to do a separate?
We do have a budget discussion
Just-
item.
okay.
Yeah, so I think that you can, I think we have time. I kind of kept the agenda short tonight, thinking that we would have a big turnout about the budget.
Oh.
So
This might be the smallest one, my whole time.
Yeah. I forgot to say, we did receive one public hearing written comment, that, you know, was a very detailed look. So I encourage the board to look at that, and that will be printed in the minutes for the meeting. And also, if anyone wanted to bring up any of those points when we're talking about the budget too, you're welcome to factor in, like, you should be factoring in public input in those discussions. I wanted to thank everyone who came out for the election and voted. I just wanted to say I'm excited to work with this board for another year. So I got elected for a 1-year term. So I know that I'll be in it for that. I am disappointed that the term extension didn't pass, just because it's nice to think that you'll be in it, but thank you guys for putting that on the ballot, but the voters spoke on that. But I'm really excited to work with you guys. We have put this budget together. We've put a lot of priorities together, and I thank you for putting up with me and working with me. And I think we've got a lot of good stuff that we are planning on doing for the closeout of the year and into 2026.
Aaron, I do something else. So are you talking about this? We're gonna go on to the next part of the agenda.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, thank you. Mimic everyone's sentiments and thanks and graciousness to our local voters who came out and exercised their right to vote.
And I want to especially though thank our election inspectors that were at the Allegerville Firehouse specifically because when I showed up at 7:50 in the morning, they were not able to leave the door unlocked from the outside, so they were freezing in the firehouse with the door propped open with a chair, so I went and bought them an Allen key to be able to unlock the door. But I want to say thank you to them for sitting there and grunting through it while people were running around to try to find a Allen key, and then I just went to Williams. So I wanted to say huge shout out to them. I hope the other polling stations did not have any other issues with having to leave doors open on such a cold voting day, but I wanted to say thank you to them because they were in a brand new, first time being used firehouse that just underwent a huge renovation. And so things like making sure there's an Allen key to unlock the little, the push stop doors are things that we don't really notice until the first time we use it again. So thank you for those inspectors that dealt with our grand opening of a voting poll there.
Yeah, let me jump on that too. Well, thank you to all the voters, obviously, for coming out. I think it's great that we have decent turnout in years where there's not major elections going on. And also the people that were working the polls, the last minute change at the firehouse, moving to the site, making sure that I think everybody was well informed and able to get there. So I think that's great because that's 2 of our voting districts had to make last minute changes. So thanks for all the people that adjusted based off of that.
I wanted to invite everyone to our Veterans Day ceremony. So that's on Veterans Day, November 11th at 11 a.m. So that's a ceremony that I host. Details are on the website. But we'll be doing coffee and coffee cake.
It's at Veterans Park.
At Veterans Park, yes. And then I was also going to
The Little Ones Learning Center.
I think that's an invite.
Is it in my?
Yeah. There was one other thing, but I lost it. So we will move on to resolutions. All right, I'm gonna throw this one at you guys, okay? I'm gonna make this next motion. So, we can explain in discussion, but the Town of Rochester Town Board appoints Stacy Barnes to the position of Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals clerk, secretary, at the rate of $23.75 per hour for 20 hours per week, effective November 12th. And this appointment shall be subject to all terms and conditions of employment as established by the Town of Rochester and applicable law.
Second.
So, Stacy is the clerk who works in my office. And she will be holding 2 part-time titles. So she's going to stay in my office and she is going to she's been filling in, doing an amazing job as the secretary of the Planning Board and Zoning Board, and she would like to stay there. So she's getting promoted to a full-time position, but not position. She's gonna have 2 part-time titles and be working full-time for the town.
Great.
And I'm very thrilled that she approached me about that.
I'm also happy she approached you about that because I told her to. I'm secretly. While picking up children at school, I was like, have you moved on?
Just a question about the terms and conditions of employment. It was unclear to me, do we have training for things like sexual harassment and all of that?
We do. I need to have that. I need to schedule that.
Is that an annual?
Yeah,
Great.
we're supposed to do an annual. And I need to schedule it. And I would love to develop, I would like us to move forward with annual reviews, trainings, other trainings that aren't that like management or like other types of training.
Other types of trainings I would like to see. Yes, that I've found some free resources for next year, potentially for some departments. Just on like certain responses or hostile.
Oh, yeah,
Whether
yeah.
dealing with hostile customer bases or
public facing jobs, so I found some like online resources that I've been researching for, so I also to see that.
So, just, are we done with discussion? Oh,
Second motion. What's the motion
It
second?
was already second.
okay, so let's, oh,
Stacy's doing a well job. I agree. I'll echo that. Have the opportunity to work with her. I hope we're able to balance her time supporting both offices, because I know she's also contributing a lot to the supervisor's office, so hopefully we have a plan for doing that.
yes. We,
I
do
think
have
it'll
a
be
plan.
better.
I think it's gonna be better too.
Because a lot of her time for the supervisor has been over here, so.
She's actually gonna have more time in both
Yeah.
offices.
Great.
Cause she's been still doing stuff, but it's been more and more and more over here, so. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain, motion carries. So on this one, do you wanna move this to discussion, the social services resolution, Alexis? You didn't hear back.
No,
Okay.
yeah, I wanted to get a copy of the specific language.
So we're gonna move this as a quick discussion item for you guys, so we don't have that resolution. And the next one, you guys received the race dates for 2026 Aquid Speedway. Zolly found this error. I have the correction. So I want to make the motion as presented with the following amendment to the racing schedule that was submitted, that it's Saturday, August 1st, not Saturday, August 2nd.
Second.
Any discussion?
Question, are we named as a additional payee or insured under the liability policy?
For
Yes,
the Aquid Speedway, I believe so, yeah.
yes, we are. They're required to give us that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. It's that part.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Were there any other resolutions you guys were expecting tonight? I don't think so.
No, but can I just ask Mary Lou a question? Mary Lou, were we the only town with a racetrack law that you know of?
I think there may be some in other towns, but
In the
nothing that's
state.
local. Yeah.
Yeah, in the county, I know, but I meant statewide, if like we based it, if you knew if we based it off of. Oh, wait, no, the racetrack was before your time even, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Never
that
mind.
was local law 7 of
Mhm.
1987, and I popped onto the scene in 91.
I was gonna say you weren't till the nineties, right? And it was eighties, Sam?
Yep.
All right.
I was
Never
still in
mind.
law school when they did that one.
There's other tracks like Watkins Glen, right?
There were
I'm-
others, yeah, like a specific law, or if we were the only zoning code chapter of racetrack state.
Yeah, actually,
Question.
it's not our zoning code. It's a
Or no, it's
separate,
not zoning anyway, yeah.
it's a separate chapter.
Standalone, that's what I meant. Yeah. If there was a difference to like.
Okay, so our first discussion item is budget. So what I really wanted to do is see if the board had any reflections on things, I think we should maybe do a very general overview of things, because what we're gonna be looking at on Thursday is the draft final budget. So I wanna include anything in that version that you're either requesting of me, or that, that we can kind of do that now. That way I can circulate that draft to you this weekend, and then we all have a working version that we're working off of. Because then when we do the final, we're gonna go through, and if we're making changes during the meeting, we wanna make sure we're tracking everything. So it's better if we had stuff for today. If you guys have things today, and I'm just, for some reason, my computer's being really slow, so I'm just waiting for my spreadsheet to load. But
It's a big spreadsheet.
but Alexis, you got a budget request?
I mean, it's because of the timing constraints, we wanted to include the people that were not able to show up to the in-person meeting. it's basically just some bullet points to discuss, and then they're asking if there's a more formal formatting process. They're happy to put that together. So basically just some background. It's a committee that aims to achieve bronze status, which unlocks significant funding streams for major capital improvements, all sorts of studies, a lot of things. It's incredibly time consuming. And as Erin knows, it's a massive amount of work, both for the committee and also for the people who have been really, really generous with their time, Erin and Stacy, and other people in the supervisor's office. So we'd like to just call out the great amount of cooperation that's happened to get. Along that though, its progress is incredibly slow. So what they're asking for is the possibility of like working with a grant consultant or a specialist for either that or other attempts to unlock these funding streams. So I know we had spoken about whether or not a grant consultant would happen through your office or through specific committees. So that's kind of going to be an ongoing discussion, but I'm curious to see what the rest of the board thinks. And then the other stuff is more straightforward. Materials for public outreach and events, banners, posters, things like that. And then a budget for outreach, publicities, mailers, and then other climate smart committees have done things like speaker series. So really the idea is to just, what can they do to create like the right feeling of community outreach with both within the committee and allowing the public to know the importance of the work since it's in the very like nascent stages. So that's kind of what the thought of the budget was going through. So that's basically what I've got for today. And then there's comments coming in. And if we want it in a different format, let me know and I'll take it back to them.
I think really what would do you know, was there a dollar value?
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing. We got one, they were able to get one estimate from like an eco-friendly person for like, it's like $600 for some swag items. And then they were asking in sum total for 2,000 because they weren't sure about the dollar amounts for any of these other things. So that's the number that they gave me for everything altogether.
Well, you said prompted a question. I forgot what it was. When you're talking about outreach,
Yeah.
where, this is a question for Erin, where we have like the town newsletter distribution system when we went to the new website. It's that. And people who subscribe to newsletters and things like that.
Yeah. That is no additional cost if it's through the website.
Right.
We have.
But we still do have that capacity.
Yeah. We basically, a lot, outreach is kind of done depending on what it is, so the recreation department, they do a lot of outreach. Do you need water? They do a lot of outreach and that comes out of their budget. That's included in their materials. The last year, the housing committee knew that they had because of what they knew they were working on this year, had planned out like a kind of an outreach campaign where they wanted to do a mailing and they wanted to have events. So they had a budget of $2,000 that was used for a townwide postcard mailing. And that also covered the cost of the hosting those forums that we did. We did plan on doing some print things that the town board wanted to do in this budget. So we budgeted for that, but then we ended up not doing that because we ended up doing this postcard kind of took all that energy. So we kind of zeroed that out. And when we had our budget discussion last week or the week before, you guys were like, yeah, no, let's not worry about doing any big mailings next year. So it kind of depends on what the outreach is, and then that sort of determines which budget line it comes out of. But the website doesn't, that just is the cost of our website. The annual $2,900 annual cost doesn't cost anything on top of that. So like I would say for Climate Smart, in terms of, I think the grant, I would say if we haven't achieved bronze status, we aren't gonna have unlocked any funding opportunities. So I think that getting to that point would, I mean, obviously, I'm saying things that everyone knows,
Yeah.
but that would be the priority. So I think it would, and then in terms of like, I think it's not unreasonable to have I don't think it's unreasonable for a committee to have a budget for having like a community forum or question and answer or outreach. But I think one thing in terms of like process for a committee, especially a new committee that's figuring it out, is like, what is the goal of those?
Yeah, I completely agree. And the one thing I do want to put it out there, because of the complicated nature of this work, is what can we do to support them and give them a little something just to have some solidarity and make that work like a little bit more fun, you know, just to have like some small events. I think they would be excited. And because we do have the opportunity to kind of piggyback on funding futures, but it does have to be its own kind of separate thing. Like we can use that momentum, but it is important for Climate Smart to have its own identity, its own set of its own materials and things like that.
Yeah, I think also ECC and Climate Smart, if doing joint events could also be a good, if there's outreach and input gathering, and also something like, I think that is also an opportunity too. Because I know that the ECC has said that they want to focus more and stuff like that, so.
Alexis, can I just ask, was it 2,500 you said before? For the like roundabout?
Oh, for
number that
everything?
we're kind
Yeah,
of thinking?
2,000.
2,000, but you said I can
Yeah.
remember which one it was. Is that in addition to what's in the budget for them already?
Oh,
Or
no,
that's what
what's
they'd
in
like
addition?
the whole amount?
I think what was in the budget already was the funding futures money, which, you know, at first it was like how much of it could be used for Climate Smart, like specifically, but funding futures has been pretty clear that they have their own list of deliverables and it has to be like specifically for that. Like it is in conjunction with Climate Smart, but it does have its own agenda. So for example, bronze status is not like linked to anything that funding futures can do.
Well, we have 1,500 in the budget already. That's why I'm wondering, is it that they want 35? Right? Is
They're-
that not what the Miss Environment?
Oh,
Oh, no, never mind. That's the
yeah.
ECC,
Yeah,
not
ECC.
not Climate Smart.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. No
I
worries.
missed that little sub then. Initial, never mind. Clear that up.
I think it's reasonable. What I'll do is, I was gonna follow up with the chair of the ECC to see if that was their only request.
Mhm.
Because if it is, then we have an opportunity to
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
move that overage that I had in there and do
Okay.
Climate Smart.
Yeah.
And not really see a big change at all in the budget. for
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, all right, awesome, thank you.
Okay. One thing this isn't huge, but what I budgeted for, revenue for the pilot should be almost double, should be more like $8,200. So there's a little less than $4,000 of revenue that we're adding. Because the pilot schedule for 2026, we have a pilot for NS. And this in 2026, they get bumped up to paying a higher portion of taxes of their improvements. So it's gonna bump up.
Does that happen every year now?
Yes. Well, no, it's 50, 50, and then it's like 75, 75, and then 100. I could pull up the spreadsheet, but that
Sorry,
was,
can you explain pilot?
okay, so pilot is payment in lieu of taxes.
Okay.
And the companies mostly, they can apply to the IDA for a payment in lieu of taxes. It's supposed to be because if the thinking is that there's a break given that would be in exchange for like a benefit to the community. We don't really have any say over it. We can offer input. This was approved in 2019, I think. I think this one was approved in 2019, so before any of us was on the board. There's another pilot in our town that just got approved that won't take, the Hudson Valley Tea Company's pilot went through, so they have one. There was a public hearing here a couple weeks ago about that. But that won't take effect until, that's not gonna be considered, so that they'll be paying taxes January 1st, basically. So the way the pilot works typically is when the corporation or business is entering into the pilot, pre-improvements to their land, that whatever they've got typically stays the same. So like going into after their pilot was approved, the assessed value of that property was like $1.3 million. So that gets taxed normal. And then typically the improvements that are made are taxed at a different rate. And so it's like, it's a little bit like an exemption, but it's, that exemption we just did for the ADU, or we're gonna do for the ADU, where it's like this 10-year schedule where you pay like 25% of the improvement cost. And then that's how a lot of pilots work. So that's how this pilot works. So the first 2 years that the pilot took effect, they only paid tax on that first portion and no tax on the improvements. And then the third and fourth year, they're paying 25% of the tax amount for the improvements. And then in the fifth and sixth year, it's 50%. So we're bumping up to that 50%.
And that's based on that's based on the current assessed valuation?
Yes, so
not a historical.
correct.
Okay.
It's the assessed value. So yes, the assessed value changes every year. So that's the other thing, is the assessed value has kept going up. So now that amount is over $4 million that they're getting taxed at the 50% rate for that, based on the tax levy. So we would take the rate per thousand and basically multiply it by that percentage, and then multiply by that. And so anyway, that's an update. I got the updated.
Are those the only two pilots in town?
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't like them.
You what?
I don't like them.
I think generally they're just given to businesses that would be there anyway.
Yeah, I wish there was more. I wish they were more incentive driven if they're gonna keep them, but.
And enforcement.
But that's also because I see what happens with our tax levy, and I think it's good to have a healthy tax base and, something like that. I think should be.
But I do know that in a lot of cases, it does make a difference, especially with in smaller
Yes,
businesses where you have larger businesses. They're gonna do it anyway.
right.
It doesn't make an economic.
Exactly,
difference
yeah.
to them.
Yeah.
It's just a benefit.
I would agree with
They're
that.
not universally bad. But
So that was mainly the only revenue. Our mortgage tax came in higher than what I projected. I want to do a little bit of research on that because I like to be really conservative with this stuff.
How much did you get and what were you expecting?
It's, let's see, we just got, it's over $20,000 more than what I put in the budget.
Over, what was?
320,000, I believe, is what I budgeted. So we had been kind of over budgeting for it, and so I was trying to be pretty conservative last year.
Rates continue to go down, see.
Yeah. Right, I did budget super conservatively, so I think I can bump that up. I don't know. I only budgeted 266,000. Cause I had this is my first full year doing this. And the second, the middle payment that we get is double usually that first payment. So we're getting a $212,000 from the county. Once they approve that resolution on the 14th, I think. So that's our share. So, so I think we can bump that up to 300,000. So that's $34,000 of revenue. That just fell.
Still doesn't move the needle.
Well,
But
I mean,
every bit.
we're almost at 40, so. Okay, in terms of, were there things that you guys, thank you, Alexis, you came with Climate Smart. Were there other things that you guys came in today that you wanted, changes you wanted to consider together?
I still think we may have to look at the third assessor's office position. I understand the thinking behind it, but it's also a steep increase. And I don't know if we're really gonna need that person in this first year. The other thing I still would like to discuss is the principal payment in the first year of the ban, and whether or not we want to adjust that. And I don't know what people's thoughts are. I mean, it doesn't necessarily change liquidity, but it changes the impact on the tax.
So
What line was that? And I was just trying to,
which one?
where we have the principal.
So that's gonna be in highway fund. And it's at the very bottom of expenditures. And then the chart that I made is gonna be in the appendices.
So it's the 1.3.
You have the line number? I'm sorry.
It is. What's it's
Yes.
debt service 9730.6 is gonna be the last page of the
What
detail.
was the, what was the ban incurred for?
So
Wait.
that is the,
Trucks.
well, it's mostly bridges. It's our cash flow. Because we have a cash flow issue with the bridge construction,
Mhm.
but then we were gonna carry over the capital improvement ones. So I have to make sure that we can do this, because what we're talking about is depositing the federal funds into our bank account, right? So I have to make sure that there's not an issue with that.
Mhm.
Well, it has to go back to repayment project related.
Yeah. There's just a lot tied to this money, and I just want to make sure, and bans, like, there's a lot of rules about how we describe the ban itself, so I have to make sure that we can do that.
Well, we could take out a bond for the out here, right?
So the way, my understanding, though, I was talking about much lower numbers, is that you start with a ban.
Right.
But
To give you time.
with this amount of money, I might, we might go that route. So,
Bond.
yeah, so I have to double check with our
Bond is 10-year.
10 or 15, yeah. 10 or more. But when I had my initial discussion, we talked about how you start with a ban and then you renew it. So I just want to make sure, because this would fit with that, because we're gonna repay that principal, right?
Yeah.
But with this amount of money, I'm not sure that it works the same way, so.
How much of the principal were we rolling over? The beyond 26, 600,000?
Yeah, it's in that. It's in the appendices, that chart that I made.
Yeah.
So it's like around 600 something. Sorry, I didn't pull that one up, but
Just the one thing, and when you're incurring debt, just make sure that the tenor of the debt matches the useful life of the project, if you're not
yeah,
using borrowing as a subsidy for operating expense.
right.
These are 75-year bridges.
Hmm?
These are 75-year bridges. They built them right.
But you can't issue a 75-year bond.
Yeah. So I hope to get an answer about that, Michael, like by Monday or Wednesday, so we would know.
So you're showing the remaining principal here is 510 after the payment in 26. Is that right?
In 26.
Yeah. So we'd have a remainder of 510.
So, yep. Yeah, the detail is done. So that is just those are the capital expenditures that, in my view, you can pay off over 5 years. So that's the truck, the beam. And then the portion of the bridge that we have to pay out of pocket. Whereas the other expenditures we're getting reimbursed.
And you're saying you want to figure out if we can not pay back, if there are things beyond the 5-year useful life that you listed, that we could not pay back and pay that principal out over the period.
No, you asked if we could do that at our last
Right,
meeting,
that's what you're.
but over the 5-year period. So right now, we are planning on paying whatever we're getting back in the grant funding, we would pay that principal.
Mhm.
That's the plan.
So the question is basically if you can use the float
Correct.
for the town.
Yeah, is that
rather
legal?
than
Yeah. Yeah,
Tie it back to the original purpose.
correct.
And you're gonna get that answer, you think, before next week?
Yes, though, but there, we did pass a resolution committing to that funding, so I just have to make sure that it's. If not, it's gonna be this. And we'll be paying, it's those capital expenditures. Will be paid out, will be spread out over 5 years. I think part of the hard part is the issuance cost of this is so high that I wish there for like a 6-month cash flow. I wish it didn't cost that much.
Cost issue.
Huh?
How much does it cost to issue?
Well, I think I was like over, but if it's 6%, then it's $108,000.
That seems high though, for a band, right?
Well, I mean, in what was the principal amount?
2 million. That's 6%. So that's 1.784 million.
Is what the amount was borrowed,
Yeah,
and the fees were 108.
that's what I'm projecting. If it was 4%,
That's, and what's the period? That's 1 year.
1 year, yeah.
And you can extend for 1 year.
You keep extending for 1 year, but you pay the issuance costs up front.
So that 105 can be agreed over 2 years if you renew. If you roll it over. Or is there an additional?
If you know, it would be if say, so that I have that schedule, so if we paid the principal down less, then the issuance cost would also go down because it's just the issuance of that amount. So that, it would keep reducing. It would still be an expenditure, but every year it would go down.
So you. That is steep.
Yeah, I was,
Oh, but that includes interest, or is that just?
that's interest, yeah. That's just what I'm projecting as the issuance cost.
So basically, you're paying your interest upfront.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but the actual debt issuance cost is not that much.
Right,
Because
my
they're
understanding,
not charging you fees on issuance fees on top.
I
of that,
think
they're
it's
just
rolled
bearing it
in.
on-
My understanding is it's all rolled
It's all
in.
rolled into the net.
Yeah.
price, okay. And you're just, it's just sold as basically as a discounted note where.
Those are the only things I was.
Okay, so for that position, I think one. I think it would be probably helpful if a board member or myself had a follow-up with the assessor about that. The cutting that part-time position, because that's what you're suggesting, right?
I mean, I'm suggesting it, I don't know what other people think.
I like a little additional clarity on what exactly the person will be doing. And whether it's a periodic need or whether it's a constant need.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought the idea was it was would be a constant need to maintain currency on the tax rolls. All right, I can reach out.
I think he's on vacation next week. If you could reach out tomorrow.
That's gonna be harder.
Oh, okay. I can talk to him. But I think it's. Okay. No other. I might work on it this week. I'll see what I can do, just going through it line by line again. I have a few actuals that I need to enter in and see if that helps us out in any way. And then I wanted to look into the vehicle, like if we were to finance the vehicle and just pay it over 5 years the way like we do, it would reduce that line
The truck you're talking.
in the general fund.
Yeah, the general vehicles, right?
Yeah, because if you,
50K or whatever.
so if you take out a loan for it, then the expenditure is in the 1 year, but if you do monthly payments directly to the vendor,
Finance it, yeah.
then
Oh,
you
exactly.
only see the total,
The current portion each year.
correct, yeah. So I think I just wanted to see. Like, I wanted to kind of look at those options and see, also I can scope the auctions and see if there's something that is newer. We have had a practice of buying like pretty old vehicles for like really cheap. But the truck needs to be able to plow. It's like what's used for all of our parking lots and the transfer station and things like that, so, I wanna. And that vehicle deteriorated like very quickly, so. I just want us to strike a balance there.
Well, if we're using the vehicle for plowing and for salting, they're gonna deteriorate quicker than other vehicles unless they're washed every time after they salt. That ruins the underbody and rusts any vehicle, so. If we want, we should maybe make sure that they spray off the truck after they sand and salt then, if we want them to last longer, cause
We
that
should
would be why
have-
the
yeah,
body rusts
Add
so
that to
quickly.
maintenance records that we'd like to have established.
That
for
one's
these
our truck,
vehicles.
not highways.
Well, for everybody though, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah, it should, yeah, general, yeah, supports that all departments and areas should have the same maintenance schedule and laws, whatnot for each vehicle. Yeah, so if you buy a used one from somewhere south of the
California.
Mason-Dixon, well, you would probably have it last longer than buying a used one from up.
Yeah,
They salt.
definitely.
They don't have tow trucks down there.
I did that for my farm and it was.
No, but it's a
amazing.
pickup truck with a
Yeah.
plow on it. They sell pickup trucks down south. That you can add.
Yes,
like
yeah,
that to
yeah.
adjust
Oh, yeah, I
it.
bought a horse trailer in Florida.
It's just.
Zolly with the court, is there anything you feel like we need to change?
Not. Yeah. I
Okay,
don't think. Still waiting
Like-
for some answers back.
okay, but you probably what we have in this year's budget
I think that's.
is what we're gonna work with.
Because I think that what we're talking about is the grant expenditure.
Yeah. Okay,
It's a little bit for maybe some other things that I think is already, you indicated is already got in.
yeah, we placed the order for the office stuff that we
Okay.
had talked about in this year's budget.
Do we ever move any of our fund balance into savings account or high interest savings or? I know we don't have a policy, but that's.
In order to do anything more than what we're doing now, we need a policy. I did talk about that at one of our budget meetings, but we need that policy basically. I would like to be able to move, right now, we have. Our fund balance is in a 3% interest bearing account. But we could find something with more. And when you're talking about the amount of money that we have in there, that's
Well, we draft a policy.
Hmm,
Okay.
sure. And so what I wanna be able to do is also move money from general and highway. Put that in a high interest account for 6 months and then move it so that we're earning, $20,000.
Do you show that revenue currently
Yes.
with
Well, no, I did not budget for it because we didn't.
even the 3% that we currently?
Yeah, that's shown. Yeah. That's in ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like $27,000 a year for that. So it could be more than that. Every little bit helps. The other thing is also not a big savings, but I told you guys I was gonna reach out to our phone company and had a talk with our account rep. They resolved an issue that we were having at one of our locations and did a proposal to actually upgrade our service that would overall save us a little under $100 a month. So, that's not a huge thing, but I'll put that actual in.
Did you ever identify how we're paying for the internet service at the court? Whether, because it doesn't seem to be a direct account, is it?
It is through Ring Squared. The Wi-Fi is through Ring Squared. But I have not yet figured out who owns the router. That was the thing that, like, the router and the modem was what they were asking about. I don't know if those are owned by Spectrum. We don't know if that was what they were requesting, got upgraded, I think, so. If we do, we might just have to pay for that if Spectrum comes across it. So. So I'll try to circulate an updated version that if I make any cuts other than just putting in actual numbers and things that we've talked about today, I will put that in writing to you guys, if that makes sense.
I think we have to. Anything from the proposed on that gets changed, we have to change, have it in the, on record.
Okay,
Yeah, the budget line to the decrease.
so we'll do it like, I have like a budget mod spreadsheet, I'll do it like that. Okay, all right, I can do that. Okay, so kind of crickety, so we can move on. All right, so I'm presenting a local law concept, but I do not want to schedule a public hearing. I wanted to get feedback and direction. So I have two local laws in front of you. One is the local law G of 2025. I named it that, but I forgot to update the draft. That rescinds local law 1 of 2011, which is the municipal parking lot law. I feel like we've talked about this law could, I think it's restrictive in a way that it doesn't need to be. And also we found the way the fines are written is not exactly how it should be that we found in terms of like, because it says the fine shall be, and it basically that should be like, should not exceed. Because the court sets all fines. So,
Does anyone know the reason that this thing was put in place to begin?
this is like,
Wow.
well,
How long do you want the meeting to be?
this was very quick, like I've read the minutes, because so do you know the history of this? That it was discovered in 2023. So that this law had never been filed. Then,
The 2011 law.
yeah, and then we were obligated to file it. We weren't sure because it was 12 years had passed. We weren't sure if it would be accepted and filed, and it was. So that's why what you have here is the filing,
Okay.
and that's why the date is September 11th, 2023. It's because the law took effect basically when it was filed. So it only allows for, in my reading, and Mary Lou and I've talked about this, it only allows for there to be like discretion of overnight parking if there's an event. So I feel like a municipal lot can serve a more of a community purpose than that, so. But then I misread the enabling law. I thought that the way so this version that I presented, there's nothing contradictory in it, but I think I would shorten the legislative intent because Mary Lou pointed out that I didn't know that rule in New York State town law is the same as law. I thought that
So you're talking about your draft and flow.
so my draft, I thought that maybe it was one of those things like stop signs where the town could, through resolution, set rules for our own property. But Mary Lou let me know that the term regulation or rule, it's the same as a law, which like,
Yeah, it's essentially the process is the same. It's just that you don't have to file it.
yeah.
And it's kind of odd because you can do things on public roadways by the rest, the traffic control devices. However, on your own property, it has to go through a different process.
And my understanding
a
is
tougher process.
yeah, we can make rules, we can pass resolutions setting hours and things like that, but there's nothing enforceable, basically. So if we want there to be, and I do think that, you know, parking lots are places where I think we do need to make sure we are uh providing for the safety of that space, like especially one like ours where it's not from the road. So so then I drafted another law. So this is I wanted to present it to you guys, tell you a little bit about what I was thinking, have you look at it and think about it. This is just a rough thought of what I kind of think, and also we've had some of these conversations. So basically what I'm proposing is that we have a new law that regulates the municipal parking lot that allows for a permit process that is not at the discretion of the town supervisor, but that's an actual process where if, and we can flush this out, but if someone, say, wanted to have a permit for parking overnight or parking their vehicle there, you know, because they don't have enough parking at their property or something, they would get
Like
a
if
permit.
there's no emergency on Main Street.
Yeah. So basically, that would be the same, so there'd be no overnight parking unless you have a permit. And that would allow us to have everyone be registered, we would have contact information, we would know who's there, and then we also would have the ability, if we wanted, down the road, this might be something that's helpful, but just thinking about revenue, we could charge a fee. The reason why I think about that is because there are improvements that would make the lot better, like striping, installing a security camera. If we wanted fencing or anything like that, like, you know, maintaining the lot, we'll be plowing it. So it's, you know, people get the benefit of that.
Are we required to have a municipal lot? Like, could we sell that property?
We cannot sell that property. It's under deed. We cannot sell that property.
We can
We-
give it back.
If we're no longer using it as a municipal lot, it goes back.
It reverts to the Schoonmakers.
Just curious.
I,
The firehouse in Gun sure was very much so like that. Just saying.
So basically, I put this together pretty quickly. But then I'm giving some leeway for the application process. And then if there was an event or something, then through town board resolution, the board could decide that we are changing the hours for a specific reason, say like Heritage Day. We wouldn't require everyone to get a permit. The board would just through resolution say that we would allow overnight parking for that day.
Suspend the rules.
Yeah, which we do, but right now it's through permission by the town supervisor if there is a event. So I guess we could do a local law where we replace. But one thing I need to look into is this like doesn't exist anywhere, this chapter 100, except in our records. So I wanted to look at our codes and see if that is like the right place for it. Also. But that's the other option, so we would do a replacement instead of a recension addition. But if we wanted this to exist somewhere else, then we would rescind it and then add this somewhere else, so.
I think in concept sounds reasonable. I mean, I think that what we want to do is have as much flexibility as possible, while also giving credence to enforcement and safety.
Yep.
Might adjust the hours. I mean, if the intent is to prevent overnight parking, we could do 11 PM to 5 AM.
Yeah.
I'm shorter with that.
Mhm.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's on press.
I did adjust it. It's
was-
currently 9, but yeah, somehow.
Yeah, I think it should at least go 10, but I think we could do 11 to 5. If the intent is to not have people overnight.
The only thing I want to say with that municipal law, I do want to make sure that that also applies, that we make sure that there's at least signage. At the courthouse's municipal lot. Any
Which
House.
only applies to.
That one municipal law.
Yes, but from my understanding, any parking lot that is not, that's owned by a municipality is a municipal parking lot and can be used as such. So the courthouse, when not in operations, is a municipal parking lot. From what, Mary Lou? My
No.
understanding that New York State law, right?
Off the top of my head, I don't know that. I've not
Oh,
heard
right.
that, Charlotte. But I'm not saying you're wrong.
You know, I just used to rent a municipal building and have authority over the parking lot of it to then rent, and then we found out that was not allowed because it was a municipal lot by technicality, so that's why I'm curious if this, because I just want to make sure that I understand that all of our lots are off of a major, not on major highways, but to me, that is a more vulnerable, safety-wise parking lot than this one is. This one's at least more densely populated near it, or if there were an incident, the one on Samsonville, you could barely see in the parking lot at night for depending on which.
I mean, there already was an incident.
Yes, there was an incident here, and then there have been incidents, and so that's why I just wanna make sure that all of our lots are. That should be considered municipal are protected within what we're applying for this one. I'm not talking about
What
the
are the lots
permitting
on
so
which
much,
side?
but I just wanna
Go
make
ahead.
sure.
Well, I think what Charlotte's saying is if by default.
Yes.
A municipal lot is any parking lot on town-owned property, then. The parking lot at the town hall, the parking lot at the park, the parking lot
At the
by the
trails.
Yeah.
Veterans Park, the parking lot here, there, and the courthouse would all be municipal lots. So I think,
And the Burma Road.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I just wanna make sure that those would, like, I wanna make sure we're covered for those things. for
Yeah,
the safety of-
or if there's a different thing we wanna have for we can.
Yeah,
make
yeah,
the
or if it's like, yeah,
definition.
like, yeah, we
Yeah.
can change the
Right,
definition.
I don't know that I wanna
Include
sell
them or-
permits for people.
No,
to
no, that's
park.
why I don't think that for permitting, I don't think
Yeah.
those, but for the safety
You
reasonings that we're
can do
looking
is-
at and procedures, that's what I'm worried for them, like.
Also, for ticketing reasons, we need to make sure there's some consistency across.
Yeah.
signage.
Yes, that
Yeah.
also for.
Yeah.
True. True.
And so even if, so say we wanted to regulate, so I now know this. But if we wanted to regulate parking at any town-owned property, regardless of whether or not it's municipal lot. We still have to do that through a local law process. So in order for it to be enforceable, so either way, we can think about that and figure out how we wanna. Consider those lots in a law like this, and
Very cool, there's.
it might change how we name it. But I agree that we don't wanna have people parking overnight, like in any of, especially those lots where we really don't want that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
especially, yeah, like I was thinking, when you said the visibility thing, like I first thought of the courthouse, and then I thought, wait, well, if that is, what about the Burn Road Rail Trail parking lot? Because I won't admit or not to any time ever being there after dark, but I know that. At a certain age in town, the rail trail, even though you're not supposed to be on it at night, is absolutely in use. So. Just keep people safe. I'm not saying I want like someone to go down there, like arresting kids or. Who left a car after doing a walk together or something, but. Just so that we're aware and it's safer.
So are you saying each lot would need to be its own local law, or we?
No, just regulating, I forget but like if we wanted to regulate vehicle,
No, because
whatever.
I don't know the intent of this, it's a little messy, but the original law. Seems like it covers all municipal lots, and
Yes,
this law you're proposing is just the municipal lot at the address you say.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying, like if I'm worried, if we need one of these where it
Could do
covers
is
the
make
rest of
it
them.
municipal laws in general. And then say,
allow permits for
Right,
that.
and then
and
have,
allow
Yeah.
other facilities from time to time at the town boards.
Yeah.
Authorization.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yep, good, that's a good. Good job.
I'd like to see us name each one of the municipal lots, the
Aw.
historic name.
I was just gonna say, can we name them or can we just put spots up and only name the spots that people can buy? As one?
So often you make fun.
I already got the names.
Alright.
We got Fort Jackson, we got GLF, we got Talcum, I got all sorts of.
Alright.
Okay, this is a total non sequitur, but what is GLF?
It,
It was the name of.
there's a name there, it goes with it. It had to do with the Accord farmers in the 20s.
Oh my god, my dad just told me this.
I know
It's-
the name.
Oh my god, my dad just asked me about it. Yes, like literally on election day. Grover's? No, it's something like that.
Something local, growing local.
No,
farm.
it because I told him, I was like, it sounds like that's what the Roundup Valley Growers Association turned into.
Yeah,
Range.
yeah, I've read
Yeah, I
it.
was thinking Grange and farming could be two of
No,
them.
it's not, it's something really weird that doesn't.
And there used to be a road that went right through here, that was GLF.
Yes,
That's why we were GLF for a long time.
Yeah, and that some places still have us.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not called GLF, right?
No,
It's tobacco.
No, because the
What's that
building
road
next to the
called?
hardware store was their center. It was their headquarters of the
Grange.
association. Yeah, the Grange, yeah. So.
The Accord Farmer Co-op used to be here before it was Agway. And it's intermingled.
Yes, well, my family owned a farm in Allenville and they were part of the Grange. Cause that was the original Roundup Growers Association for the valley. so.
it's,
I can't believe it's not coming.
it is probably the Grange League Federation.
That's exactly what it is.
Grange League
That's
Federation.
yes.
All right.
Is a league different from a federation?
So it's the Grange.
Hey,
You know, I have to say, I've never thought that GLF had a historical significance. It sounded so like corporate to me that I was like, what is this? So that's really
That's
cool
so
to
funny
know.
that my dad just talked to me 2 days ago and then you said. Well, so I didn't even know you was.
Oh, so I've got some good direction for this.
Renaming the GLF Municipal Park. Put it in the law.
Franchise agreement, Councilman Coleman, did you have any updates on that?
I've not heard back from them. I can. Send a email and see.
Okay, so you reached out, haven't gotten
Right.
any, okay. Community center project, did you wanna talk about
Yeah.
where we're at with that?
Do you have your Gmail on your laptop, Erin?
On my laptop? I do.
Okay.
Mhm.
I just emailed you a PowerPoint presentation. Well, I shared,
Oh,
That's
if you
why.
share it with the YouTube channel?
I could do it from. Just. It's like,
Or I can share it.
yeah, whoever's quicker. Okay, what's the email? Erin? It's the,
The Town of Rochester channel. At gmail.com.
channels EM,
Yeah.
say it loud enough for the camera. Just dyslexic.
Will you be able to do that or you want me to do it, Michael?
Oh, were you asking me to do? it?
Oh.
What do I have to do?
Just go to the email.
Town of Rochester channel at Gmail. Oh, because I did.
Yeah.
Type.com, that makes sense.
Just open a new browser window.
To the Gmail.
Open a new
Plus,
browser
and then
window.
it'll have a link for Gmail. Just.
And go to Drive.
What is it? Google Drive? I never know, just there. Google.com.
I think you have to go back to where you're signed in. Michael.
She's driving right now.
But
It's not gonna be signed into the YouTube channel.
Okay, well, you figured that out. I'm going to enlighten you more on GLF.
Okay.
Oh, hit us.
It was formed by merging the New York State Grange, the Dairymen's League, and the State Farm Bureau. And they were cooperatives when it was formed for marketing and delivery, farm equipment. And then eventually they merged with other cooperatives and became Agway.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
And that's why that must have gone from the GLF to the, you're in the Agway building.
I don't remember this one.
So the green sheet.
Let's see. I don't remember that password.
All right, so we can skip it.
I'm sorry.
I was just trying to I just laid everything out to make it easier because I have a whole file of identified funders for us. So, for the project that's in the back, I'm working with Ashley and Bethany, and I should have a final, re-quotes with their recommendation of which quote, they liked out of the three for us for next meeting, so I'll get that info to you, Aaron, next week. Once I have it all solidified. Dependent on the freight and shipping time, which all of the items we've selected are quick ship at every company so that they are able to, they're in stock right now to ship. And whether we may be able to have it installed before the end of the year. Because if we are able to purchase next week, or Monday of the week after that we approve it, we would most likely have it arrive the first week of December, and so then it would just be snow dependent for if the ground was frozen, for if we can actually have it installed or not. That being said, they are able to, if it shows up, or the freight of it shows up and the ground is frozen, it is able to just be stored outside until the ground thaws, and in the spring, target and things like that. So and we do have luckily some clear space back there now, thank you to the first phase of the project. So in addition to that, next week, I am also hoping that I will have a quote for 2 new basketball hoops with their install that will be separate from the actual playgrounds quote. I believe that it will not. Doing it separately, we can just purchase it and approve it, the voucher, we don't have to go out to bid for it, and right now the kids don't really have anything to play with back there except for the janky basketball hoop that's still up, so I would really like it, and that's like a easy, as soon as we order it, there's a company in Albany that I'm getting the quote from, so they're a very quick turnaround, so it should be maybe even before Thanksgiving for that. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I don't want to make promises. And I will also be coming before the end of the year to you guys with hopefully a request and identifying and being able to purchase a new storage shed for the recreation department to go on the pre-existing concrete slab from the fallen Kwanzaa hut in the back right corner there. There you go, Aaron. Fancy PowerPoint. There shouldn't be any weird clicky things, so.
Do you want this to stream?
It can, if you want to, it's really just for us, it is for me to remember all my talking points for the most part. So I guess I realized that the newer town board members and even really Michael, who wasn't in those original committee meetings, for the park. Or the clerk, that you guys might not have known where some of our points and like what our angle is for the project in the back here and our idea for its development. So that being said, the vision of the park in essential is a multi-generation park with an expanded eating and recreation play area, along with replacing the garden boxes that were removed last year to allow for an agriculture
piece for potentially the after-school kids to grow a vegetable garden, to donate the vegetables to the food pantry next door from. And more, we're hoping, I say we, this is strongly me that I'm flipping upside down, is we as a whole. But that the theme is to represent the history of the town and of this parcel. So while we're looking at different elements for the playground, we've been looking at different themes like agriculture, the canal, the railroad, the agway, different natural resources, or just the things that are what make Rochester, Rochester. You can go, Aaron. So phase one's already done. We resurfaced the basketball court, we removed all the down trees, and we repaired / replaced all the broken pieces of fence out there. Phase two, and this is in no one's order but my own, just trying to write down everything that needs to be done. Is we need to replace basketball hoops, we need to get the playground equipment installed. I'm going to be getting quotes for 2 storage sheds, in hopes that I am able to, you'll see when we get to the funding pages, there's actually a grant that the deadline is December. That I, mid-December, that I'm hoping we could potentially get in, that's a reimbursement grant. For community storage facilities. So that we could potentially have 2 sheds back there to empty the tractor trailer body into. One is the actual department's shed, and then one is a temporary storage until we figure out an actual record storage building with the town clerk. And so then we can actually get that out of there. We can get the money from the scrap for that giant old paperweight of metal in the back. And then pretty much through the end of this year is really going to be working on getting the quotes, having us approve them, ordering the items, and then hopefully getting them installed. Also, a portion of that plan is if not all of the space for the shed, or depending on what I'm able to get for a storage container or sheds for the backspace there on that pre-existing slab. The pod that is outside this back right corner, that I don't know if it's is it the exchange that it's under technically well, it's here. The pod is here.
Yeah.
And I just sent back a pod that was filled with my mother's things that I only paid 2 months for, and I have the recollection paying it out of my own bank account, how much we've been paying in storage for that thing on a monthly rate. We've paid for 3 storage sheds at least already for a monthly rate on that, so I would like to find an alternative for that. I want to support the program. I think it's been a very popular program, the clothing exchange, the free clothing exchange that's happened, and it's really impactful and helpful to our residents, so I don't want to get rid of it. I just think that that money is better spent in our budget, and we can kind of just cut that recurring cost out if we just put in another smaller shed back there, that we make it as the ECC or whoever. I thought it was maybe the idea started at the exchange, but I thought it was the exchanges. That's why I said
It's
it's
the
theirs.
Yeah.
But so but working through that with them, I want to be able to figure out a solution for that so that we're not paying a monthly rental fee on a 10 by 12 storage box that we could even have built our own for that much right now. So that's it for the rest of the year. That's where my brain is at, is just those few things. But for phase 3, we're hoping to not use the entire amount that we appropriated this year of the funds for the park project in the back, and save a small cushion of it, about like 10 to 15,000 if we can, with the cost of everything out back, to apply for matching funds. There are a lot of parks and facilities funding available out there. Some are matching, some are just reimbursements, some are given. So we wanted to make sure we had a little bit of a cushion to continue expanding out back there. So that being said, early of next year, I would like to be able to sit down with our lovely town clerk and speak with her about exactly what the needs for her record storage building are, to see if we can start getting quotes for different styles or different ways, because we had a very large sticker shock value the last time we did that project, for what we needed as a simple pole barn that turned into a very, very nice building for papers. And I would like to get the trailer body, again, working with the town clerk whose records are in there. I would like to organize and get that cleared out before the end of the first quarter of the year, if possible, after her busy season for tax bills going out and everything are over and getting tax collections in for those first couple of months, before the, that first due date of them. I'd like to sit down and at least organize that with you so that we can, pick a date, and figure out how we're gonna best attack that. And I would like to start. I would like with the board's, I guess, blessing or authorization, I would like to start the prep work for some of the funding that I have identified that are done on annual basis that this year's windows may have closed for, but we still have plenty of time to apply for next year. So I would like to start the process now of starting to gather the deliverables for those if I can in certain areas. Also, being a certified grant writer by profession, if we want to go for more and more grant funding, that means that we're going to be paying a grant writer or a grant consultant or a grant firm at some form of the line. The more prep work we can do and I can do beforehand for these grants, the less that means the taxpayers or we're going to be paying out of those projects funds for those grants to be written, because they won't have to be doing half of the research for them. They'll have all of their data and facts laid out for it of statistics for the town. And I also think that we should be meeting with stakeholders that, yes, for this project are important and can be helpful and impactful, but as a whole for the multitude of projects in town and the different structural upgrades or just safety, health, coding upgrades that we have to do on all of our buildings and properties. I think that making sure that we have ourselves aligned with in the best ways possible with the best partnerships to make sure that they happen and that we get these things done for our community are very important. And then by the end of next year, I'm hoping that we'll have received some of the funding. We can get quotes and start to plan the expansion of back there, because the multi-generation part of that beginning sentence about the idea for the park is we want to, yes, have a park out there for the after-school kids and an area for them to be able to play, grow, learn, have fun in while they're here after school and during the summer. But we also, this building is, we have some of the most senior engagement out of any town in the county from our community center. And the amount of programmings and things that we offer to our seniors, and I would really like to see that expanded outdoors and out back also, with the idea of putting in a stretch, like the workout-esque parks, like the more adult where there's the stretchers or the aerobics, different gyms. Are they still gym? Yeah, they're just not jungle workout gym. And so we'd like to expand that and have more benches and more of an eating area there as well. Those things I know are not in the budget for this, but if we are able to secure some grant funding next year, I think it would be great to do. And regardless if we get to expand or not, I would really love to do a grand opening and a naming of the park at the 20th Annual Heritage Day next year, which again, I'm happy to work with our town clerk and with the HPC and everyone involved planning and the rec department for that. To talk about doing that, because I think that there's never been a park back there, and this is probably one of our most recently purchased parcels in town. That was a decaying building, the former Agway, that we've built up so much. I think that this parcel is an impact to our heritage, so I think it's important that we make sure we highlight the work that's gone into this property at Heritage Day. And then once all of that's done, we tear down the barn nest. And that's my next project, but I'm committed for the next year and a half for those. And then these are our stakeholders, which I think the top one is missing, but it's the recreation department. And then the other departments housed at 15 Tobacco. I think it's really important while we're talking about the space of this parcel and what's happening here with the building, that we're also talking to code enforcement or zoning, or we're talking to the food pantry and other people who are going to affect that use this building as well. And I think that our local agencies for aging, so whether it's the County Office of the Aging or the Kerhonkson and Accord Jewish Seniors or any of our other senior groups that sponsor things here, or we sponsor ourselves. I think it's really important that we're getting information and feedback on what should be happening here, exactly of what the needs are of the community for recreation and for a third space like this and what they want. I think that we also do need to talk to the after school and the summer aides to see, they're the ones with the kids playing with them, to see if what our vision for after expanding after this first set of equipment gets installed, like if that meshes and they think that works with the work that they do in our program. I think that working with the Ulster County Parks department is super important, and I also think that working with that we need to be fostering a better relationship with the Ellenville, with the Rondat Ellenville Rotary. I attended their meeting last week. And they're very excited. They're already on board to paint anything that we buy that's a wooden playset for us. And they are also signed up and willing to build the garden boxes and benches for us, or picnic tables for in the back. So we have that happening, but I do want to make sure that we kind of like foster that relationship more, because I think that organizations like the Rotary that are here as normal citizens who just come together to try to support community and build it, I think that those are the organizations that we should also be partnering with to try to build our community. Go on, Erin.
And they really want
Yeah.
to help.
Yes, they are the squeaky wheel. They've been trying to recruit me for a year just to join them, not even from town board things, so they're very determined people and they're very sweet. So there's a lot of money out there. For a lot of these have overlap between parks or storage facilities, or for community-based facilities. A lot of them, when you see the community well-being grants or community possible grants, those are heart and soul. Those are really broader for just any type of community-based supportive project for requirements where there's, you know, the parks preservation and heritage. Those ones are very specific. But federal grants are the ones that you can get the most out of. They're also the ones that cost us the most to apply for. They're the hardest to apply for. They're the most competitive. State funding, slightly easier. The BRICS and MPR have both been awarded this 2025 funding cycle to Ulster County townships for parks projects. So once those rounds open next year, I think that we would have a very strong possibility of getting even more funding than our other local townships. But really where we have the most possibility of finding funders to fund a community-based project like this, that is a direct impact on children, seniors, rural communities, so many different demographics that are what funders are looking to fund. Going with private funding foundations that do still allow municipal nonprofits and local governments to apply for is a way more tangible and equitable way for us to go. I've written, besides the sports specific ones and the T-Mobile, I've written a grant to almost all of these organizations and been awarded it for various different businesses in town. They're very easy to get. They're not a $100,000 grant, but if we get $10,000 grants, we have $100,000 without paying a grant writer and using our internal resources for that. So that's our plan. That's where I'm at. The end. Yes, I am making good on my promise. There will be a boat. I'll die on that molehill. There will be a boat before I leave this town board in one of our parks to replace my beloved boat. And that's it. So that's where we're at. I will be updating you guys and bringing more to you guys as it gets refined, but I wanted to give you guys kind of like a broad overview update on like where it's the vision and where it's kind of steering towards for the project and to get feedback or opinion.
Charlotte, very comprehensive. I do have the basketball hoop order together. It's under $3,000, so I can just order it.
Oh, so you just need the installer?
I think we're gonna, I'm gonna figure that out before I order it. And then the other thing you should know is as long as we place the order for the equipment, it comes out of this budget. So it doesn't have to be delivered, so depending on who we get it from. We can just place the order, and if they wanna, if they're doing the install and wanna bring it, I don't know how that all works, but.
So two companies that I've gotten so far are, much further than the Tri or Sex State area, and then one's from Pennsylvania, so it's kind of. Two of them would be hiring a crew that they send here that's certified to install it, that like they contract with. The other party from Pennsylvania would just be doing the install themselves, because they're so close, so that's.
Yeah,
So
okay,
that's where it's like, it can be delivered and
I
they're
see.
like, that's why it might be that it's delivered and then they don't have a contractor who's in New York available before the end of December when snow comes. So that's where it could turn into something weird. But yes, I do plan on having this order it by be purchased before the end of the year,
yeah.
as I want.
Anybody, any questions or comments for Charlotte? You covered a lot of ground there. The ambulance contract, did we wanna talk about that or put it on the agenda for next week
Let's
or
put it
both?
for next week. Mary Lou just sent out her edits. I have some Zolly. So I'll consolidate those.
And then, hold on, no, what are the, can you start, take me through, sorry. I'm not trying to be, can you take me through the process that we're going through with this?
So Zolly had some feedback, some things that he wanted included. Mary Lou was going to make some edits on the draft that we had looked at last meeting. I don't know if there's overlap between those two things. So I'll look at what Mary Lou sent and pull Zolly's comments, put them into a single contract. And then I think we want to send that to the squads, determine if we want to use the same contract, both squads, send it to them so that they can review. And then
Yeah,
hopefully-
what I sent was based on Zolly's comments.
Okay,
Michael, you'd asked me if I could come up with some language,
yeah,
but there may be more that you want in there or less.
so I think that's what's next. I think we'll also refer to the county.
Okay. So we're gonna wait until
Yes,
that meeting.
yes.
So for next week, we don't really need to have it on the agenda.
I don't think we need to talk
Okay.
about it every one way, because yeah, that's on the 21st.
Okay, so you'll circulate the newest version. Or I'll circulate the newest version
I'll look
to
at
the
what Mary Lou
board,
sent.
but then we're gonna have the county take a look at it before we. And then we have to offer, then we vote to offer it.
Right.
Great, thank you. All right, the next one. Just,
Sundown Culvert.
no, it's,
you read?
this
Oh, yeah.
MVP Medicare quote. I wanted to ask you guys to authorize me to sign this. We could wait till next week. The quote expires on the 2nd, I guess. We could wait till next week, but so we offer retiree insurance. So we have, that is one of our budget lines and it's in our,
So we're looking at the East region.
it's actually all of them. So the numbers, we have 10 that are in the east and then 1.
Oh, that's the retirees one.
Yeah.
What's OSA?
You know, I learned all of this last year. One of them
Other southern.
includes meds and that one doesn't, I think.
Overseas area? Is someone out of the country?
No, it's, I think that's the one that doesn't have meds with it.
You say it doesn't have medication with it?
I think so. We have one. It's like, it has to do with what people qualify for.
Yeah, no, based off the pricing, I'm just surprised that the one comes without prescription pricing with how small it's.
Yeah.
The gaps. I was
So
like-
this is basically our broker prepares this for us every year. We do the you know, the private Medicare is what the town offers, the privatized Medicare through MVP. So all enrollees have to qualify. But then I think you guys are aware of this. But it's probably worth reviewing what the retiree situation in our town is, because there are people that are getting 100% of their insurance paid by the town. Like retirees. And then there are other people that are paying 25%. And then there are some people that are paying 100% because they're the spouse of a deceased employee. So I do think, you know, our policies are still in place. We haven't done anything to change them. But there was a decision that was made when the board decided to charge a 25% of the premium. There was a decision made that that would not apply to any existing retirees. So we do not get 25% of that estimated annual premium.
Do you have those numbers broken down?
I mean, it's in the budget.
Right, but do you have like the numbers, how many are getting 100, how many are getting?
I do have that in a spreadsheet.
Yeah, be
I could,
interested to see.
Oh, I can't access my shared folders right now. I can send that. We
Yeah.
do have that.
Very cool, yeah, I was wondering.
So it's just something, it's pretty, I don't know a lot. It's pretty generous, I think.
I don't have a retirement, so I don't know what any of those numbers do, so.
But this is
Yeah.
also like us just offering it. This is completely separate from like Nisler's and like. This
I was gonna say,
is,
this is addition, right? This isn't a requirement. We're not
Correct.
required to offer retirees insurance.
but I think it's worth doing a review of what those policies are and what happened with that. A retiree insurance.
What year was it?
What would you?
That they changed it?
2018. And we haven't had a lot of retirees since then, so. So yeah, general fund pays $25,000. Highway fund pays 42,000. And highway fund nets 34,000. So highway fund pays 34,000. And general fund.
What was that thing Mike and Adam wanted, give them $100 every 5 years? Right, that's what Adam and Mike wanted to do for our longevity employees.
Oh, for
Same
people
formula,
who are still
yeah.
working in town.
That's what I'm doing, we can just do it the reverse, but you can 100 every 5.
Let's see here. Yeah, so we're paying. 16. Hold on. Sorry, I didn't do this math before. I mean, I feel like we just have to approve the plan, but I thought it just brings up this,
The need to evaluate.
yes.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we need to do just like a whole. In general handbook. Benefits.
So we're paying 51,000 in retiree insurance a year. And right now our policy, anyone who retires.
We pay 75%.
Yeah.
Is that typical for municipalities?
I'm going around, I know the other two.
Yeah, I don't know if it's typical.
Or actually, I know age cap, like once they can get like Medicare and.
There's an age minimum, so it's 65.
Oh.
But before that, it's our town insurance plan.
Oh.
So if if you retire before you're 65, it's the
What are
town.
are they, what's the eligibility for retirement?
55 and 30.
20 guys and 50, 30 and 50?
55,
55.
that's what I'm paying.
We do have,
Count the days.
yeah,
You have 4 more years, sweetheart.
I got more than that.
Oh, since you were full-time.
I was just like. Yeah,
So,
so I have to time it.
it's, yeah, I think it's worth, like, I mean, I know.
I think there
it's-
should be a comprehensive review of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
need to do a audit
Yeah.
in January.
Yeah, we also, I don't want to take away the insurance buyback, but our insurance buyback program is very generous. Also, these aren't, you know, overall, they're not like huge, but when you add those two budget lines up, it's, you know, $128,000.
That's a fixed cost, because it goes on forever,
So
and it never goes down.
it never goes down. And if it's going down, it's because people are on our insurance, which does cost more than the buyout, but it's very generous because we're basically paying for out-of-pocket expenditures for people having an alternate insurance plan.
How much do you pay a month?
It's up to $12,000 a year,
The buyback?
the buyout. Yeah,
Used to be 1,500.
yeah, it used to be 1,500 a year. So it depends on what
I
they're,
pay that much out of my husband's paycheck deductions, and I've never received more than $100.
Yeah. right.
Monthly.
It's pretty common for it to
And
be,
paying tax
but
on the 100.
I think
And my
we need
payroll
to-
wrong.
I don't wanna take it away, but it's
It needs to be-
incredibly
that should be-
generous.
That should be adjusted. That's,
Cause the other thing is that people who are on our insurance plan, their paycheck goes down, right? And then people, if you have another plan, we're just basically paying for it.
Yeah.
Which I know it overall it costs the town less, but it creates this inequity
Yeah.
within staff. So. Anyway,
Yeah, I think we should.
these are the hard things that we have to do, but I think it's important that we review
I
them.
don't know why my brain thought that number was for the year.
So in terms of our Medicare, do you guys want to vote on this next week or do you want to vote on it tonight?
It's not gonna change.
It's not good.
Yeah, it's not gonna change. So the motion to accept the thing as presented. No, Mary Lou, not enough. Okay. I make a motion that the town of Rochester Town Board authorize the town supervisor to approve
Accept the
Accept
Medicare
the-
rate quote for 2026. From
that.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. We're almost done. Basically what I'm letting you guys know is I'm gonna send you these documents this weekend. But I have a lot of reading for you. So our UCRA contract was just sent to me today. I'm gonna send that to Mary Lou. I'm gonna send it to the board because we need to approve that by the end of the year, but as soon as we can get started on looking at the better.
Is that a one size fits all contract that they're sending to every municipality, or are there
They're bargaining.
negotiating?
There,
That's good.
it is typically one size fits all. We got some special rules that apply to our town for non-compliance. I think when we were not compliant, there were some things put in our contract, basically that it was changed to a year-to-year contract for a period of time. Because they were threatening to not go into contract with us. This was 5 years ago. We've since are not in that situation at all, complete opposite. So I think it is, there is a county, like, there's other laws over this arrangement, but there are things that I might have some input on just based on what I've seen in terms of what they're supposed to be doing and like what has been happening in reality. So I think it's worth taking a look and seeing, I guess. The rates are locked in. like, there's not a lot, but they are our hauler, and so if they're short-staffed and not able to do pickups, it has a huge impact on our operations. That's the main thing for me. The next is, I have the scope of
Sorry, does
service,
that happen frequently?
it's every 5 years.
No, I mean, where they're not able to bulk. Understand.
It happened frequently over the summer. So, and you know, there are staffing shortages all over the place. I totally understand that, but I think it'd be good to try to see if there's any recourse. Cause
Yeah, contingency. for
like
that.
we've had, it'll be stressful. It'll be on a Saturday, staff will call me, they're like thinking they have to close, which is very difficult to do on a busy Saturday. And then, you know, the truck will show up. It's just like 4 hours of feeling on edge and stress, or it won't. And we have had to close a couple times, but or like not accept things. And that can be difficult too, is to turn. That's our first thing, is we turn away. What I've instructed is first turn away big loads, which we can do, but like that way you can have more users basically. I don't know if there's anything we can do. That's something I kind of wanted to take a look at in the contract. Like how that's worded, and just all of us kind of be aware of if there's anything we can do about it. Okay. So the next is there's a scope of services for the Sundown Culvert, and then we need to do our final negotiations and like agreement with the consultant that we selected. I'm gonna send you guys all of that. It's like hundreds of pages. I more just want to, what I'm gonna try to do is do something where I synthesize all of that so that you understand what it is that we're doing and what's important. The thing that I want to bring up right now is we have for Sundown 100% funding up to $995,000 for a culvert replacement. So that is not usually, as we know, that's not usually how much they cost, but because of the funding, it has to happen a certain way, and that's what makes it. So I have to get clarification. Right now, the proposal is for it to be in that budget, but if there's one part of it that changes, it's gonna cost us like $300,000. And if that is the case, I think we might decide to reject.
Pay for yourselves.
So I have to, this is the time where we get to make that choice. So I'm gonna get some clarification from the consultant, but you know, that amount of money, I don't know, but I think we could probably do it something ourselves for less than that. So now it won't be a 70-year culvert that is like up to federal specs or state specs, but I just don't, that's just so much money to spend on that type of infrastructure. And I have a feeling that Project 32, that bridge is a bigger structure, and that is definitely gonna be like over budget, but I think that'll be worth it. So to pay, because the bridge replacement does cost a lot more. So I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense, but that's what we're gonna have to focus on, and it's not as simple. The ask is not, yes, check the boxes, these are federal template contracts, everything looks good. The ask is, do we think that we can afford this? Like, is this within the type of budget and the kind of risk analysis that we want to take with, you know, cost of materials? Because the budget changes, you know, it's going to be 2 years. It's a 2-year project. So I'm going to send you, I have all of that. I'm going to send it all like tomorrow or Saturday so that you have time to take a look at that. but that's just a heads up. We do need to make a decision on that pretty soon, because if they're gonna get started, it'd be nice for them to do a couple of the things before the ground freezes, so. And then we will be doing this consultant selection, hopefully for Project 32. That doesn't really require much work on your part, because we have a committee that will be making that recommendation to you guys on Thursday. Any other matters?
I just have one other thing that I'd like to, if we can, I guess, talk about it now, or we can talk about it next week, but I would like us to add a liaison to the food pantry to our list of liaisons for town board members to be assigned to. I think with federal funding being frozen and the severely harsh impacts that our local food services are feeling for it, I don't think that we have a poor relationship. I just think that extending an arm of communication in some way to the food pantry during this time, so that we're able to also promote them and make sure our residents are taken care of and fed, is ideal for the board and for the pantry and for the residents.
Okay, I'll take that under consideration. I
I was like, I think that that's a you decision.
It's a me
not
decision. I just want you guys to know I am in direct communication with the pantry. They've let me know what their plan is. They're gonna send me something so we can start promoting what they're doing. Right, as of now, they're in a position that they feel like is good, and they do not need. They're not looking for volunteer help right now, but they will be able to offer additional services. So they're phasing it in. They have a phased approach that they're doing. And they should be able to start offering to more people after the first phase, where they're gonna be working with their subscribed folks.
And those services are. Let's see.
Wednesdays and Fridays.
Let's see. Yeah.
I think it got sent to my personal email.
That's last year's.
I know they're offering, they'll be doubling.
I just think hearing it in liaison reports, like we wouldn't have known this unless I brought it up right now. Like, I just think hearing about it monthly for the residents. The issues like that, like if they're hosting events or have additional distributions, it's good. But they're open on Wednesdays and Fridays. I just can't remember their hours right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say jobs.
Yeah, Marge was gonna get back to me, and then I said at our business meeting that I'd be able to promote their plan for right now, but definitely think they do offer a lot, and it's good to have everyone be aware of that. So for our next meeting, that's our business meeting. We are doing an abstract, so we'll need to audit next week. I've already circulated the calendar sign up. I have 1 town board member signed up to audit bills. We have 2 public hearings next week. So the public hearing for the ADU tax exemption and a public hearing for the planning board alternate change. We also are planning to adopt our budget. And then it's our business meeting, so we have liaison reports, we have our regular resolutions, minutes, budget modifications, all of that. So it'll be a packed agenda. Anything else? Okay, so I do have an executive session. of two matters. So I'll make a motion that the board enters into executive session at 8:51 PM for the purposes of discussion of litigation between the town and M&T Advanced Building Solutions and discussion of matters leading to the appointment of particular persons.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries.
It's Mary Lou.